Through my service learning project, I explored how technology has influenced the quality of life for people who are visually impaired. For my government project, I interned at the Grousbeck Center for Students in Technology at the Perkins School for the Blind. The original Perkins School was opened in 1832 after a medical student named John Fisher traveled to Paris to visit the world's first school for the blind. Seeing the institution convinced Dr. Fisher that America needed an establishment to educate students suffering from blindness. The school was named after Thomas Perkins, owner of the original home where Perkins moved to after the enrollment grew greatly in size. By 1912, the school had grown so large that they moved to a 38-acre home in Watertown, Massachusetts. Perkins was inspired by its original deaf-blind students, Laura Bridgman and Helen Keller, who overcame severe disabilities to be role models to other deaf-blind individuals around the world. Today, Perkins services have impacted over 500,000 individuals each year in the United States and is represented in 67 countries around the world. Perkins collaborates with many domestic organizations such as the American Foundation for the Blind and the National Association for Parents of Children with Visual Impairments. Each year, the government grants over $1 million in funding for the Perkins School. Perkins' mission is to provide education and services that build productive, meaningful lives for children and adults around the world who are deaf, blind, or visually impaired with or without disabilities.
And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show just your true colors. True colors are beautiful, ooh, like a rain.
The Technology Center was established at the Watertown location in 2011 to engage Perkins students in technology, which is something that today's culture relies on very heavily in areas of education, communication, and entertainment. Through the center, Perkins students are able to broaden their own knowledge of these technological devices and integrate it into their education despite their visual impairments. I worked very closely with Samuel Shaw, who is the coordinator of student activities at the Grousbeck Center.
Hello, I'm Sam Shaw. I'm the coordinator of student activities in the Grousbeck Center for Students in Technology.
The United States government has taken the initiative to preserve the rights of people who suffer from blindness, visual impairments, and other disabilities. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was enacted. This law forbids discrimination of people with disabilities affecting areas of employment, government services, public accommodations, commercial facilities, and transportation. One of the most significant laws guaranteeing the rights of people with visual impairments and blindness is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This act ensures that people with mental, physical, and sensory disabilities have equal rights to pre-vocational training and finding employment in America. Most recently, Section 508 was added to the Rehabilitation Act, which requires the United States government to make federal electronic and information technology accessible to people with disabilities. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires that public schools in our country ensure free and equal educations for all eligible children. This act authorizes the government to grant programs for special education funding, makes public schools eligible to more students, including those with disabilities, and provides students with specialized educations for their needs in public schools. The Massachusetts Commission for the Blind was established on July 13, 1906. Helen Keller was amongst one of the 5 original board of directors of the commission. The main function of the agency was to provide necessary services for blind people. For the fiscal year 2014, the government appropriated over $20,000 in funding for the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. The agency serves to encourage independence and full community participation for people who are legally blind. The Massachusetts Commission for the Blind is committed to exploring new technologies and the opportunities that they will offer people with visual impairments, providing education and training to employers, healthcare providers, and schools in order to promote the awareness of blindness and get rid of the barriers hindering blind people from employment opportunities and community integration.
there's no stopping.
At a most basic level, it provides better communication for them. So for some students, it allows them just to communicate through pictures or simple sentences. It also allows them to connect to their family. So that's like making phone calls on the iPad, you know, connecting to their friends through social media, like tweeting with the rest of the world. It also connects them to the internet, which is the whole world at large. So for a lot of our students after graduation, before the internet and these technologies, they go off into dark existences that were pretty disconnected. You know, if they knew how to use the phone, they could reach out, but it's much.
Since this past fall, I have been regularly interning at the Grousbeck Center once a week to participate and assist the students in a variety of activities. The center was designed to immerse students in numerous experiences, including musical performance, social skills, and vocational training through the groundbreaking equipment provided by the school. The center includes several soundproof rooms, one of which is a Braille-friendly radio broadcasting studio. Students can schedule regular time slots to collaboratively or independently broadcast their own radio shows, which stream live to the internet and can be heard on Radio Perkins.
Hello. Are we on? Hello there. Welcome back to the Javier Show.
And there's no time to waste. Well, it all keeps spinning, spinning round and round and upside down. Who's to say what?
Not only is this station an effective way for members of the Perkins community to communicate with each other and creatively share their ideas, but it also opens the students up to a variety of occupations in the entertainment industry, which otherwise would be difficult for someone who is visually impaired. I worked particularly closely with Javier and Chris on their radio show, The Javier Show, where I acquired my DJ name, DJ Chubb.
Go away.
When radio stations were two turntables and a microphone and a bunch of hardware and wires and knobs, it was pretty out there, you know, it's a pretty slim chance of a blind person becoming a DJ. Now they can just do it all with a laptop, with voiceover. They can broadcast, they can edit, they can stream in a real way, so that if they learn how to use a computer, that's sort of one of the end goals for our whole program, is to teach kids how to use tech at different levels, and hopefully by graduation they know how to use a computer, which makes them much more enjoyable.
Girl, I say, if only life would lean our way. Well, you and me, we'd run away to be wherever our adventure waits. And time would be a distant memory.
From the studio, there's also a room with a plethora of musical instruments, from the drums to an electric keyboard to an assortment of guitars and other instruments that are available to the students. On Wednesday nights, one of the students named Brendan started a club called iPad Club, which focuses on introducing other visually impaired students to a special program on Apple devices called VoiceOver. iOS devices use a program called VoiceOver, which gives the user complete control over their device without even looking at the screen, because it verbally speaks the actions being made on the machine. Using gestures and rotations of fingers, the user can navigate quickly through the device by swiping the machine. It also is the first screen reader that provides plug-and-play support for Braille displays. At the Grousbeck Center, they have many refreshable Braille displays that the students can plug into their devices, and the voiceover description is translated into Braille. At iPad Club, Brendan and volunteers such as myself helped other students use VoiceOver and other applications so they could learn how to type on their iPads or iPhones, and use many other aspects of the device. Despite the frustration that comes along with learning something new, seeing the students being able to text and email their parents and engage in everyday activities was really rewarding.
Well, the iPad grows by leaps and bounds with applications. I think the most exciting thing that's come out since I've started working at Perkins is the Google Glass, which is a little mini computer. Looks like a pair of glasses. You pair it to your tablet or your phone. And there's a lot of applications for the iPad that can take pictures of something and then tell you what it is. You can ask a question about it, send it off. Do my shoes match? Does this shirt match these pants? is this Courtney? Is this the box of cereal that I want? The application for the glass is that eventually they'll be able to walk around and have excuse me, the glass interpret what's around them. So you're at a street corner, you can have the glass scan what's in front of you and tell you that there's 3 cars coming, or that you're up to a crosswalk, or the button's over to your right across the, to get the cross signal to go. Same time, it's got bone conduction headphones, so the students can be listening to audio and still have their ears open to a truck or a dog that's right behind them, but be receiving like navigation, GPS navigation that you and I use to travel around with, all in their little device. So really empowers them. That's the most exciting thing that we're working with.